So what is your take about Ibrahim Traore?
He has become a model. And I said it once, I'll say it again, even on your platform. Africa does not need democracy.
What do we need?
It's a smokescreen of lies, which allows imperialism and neocolonialism to continue. Africa needs dictators. Africa needs military dictators.
Military, not just any other dictator.
Military for security. Dictators in that they must dictate the right thing. We need people that are purposeful, cutting down the bureaucracy of democracy and getting things done. If you walk up into your parliament right now, you'll have papers the size of this room of good ideas that have never been implemented, roads that have never been finished, buildings and hospitals that have not been repaired, but budget approved and voted. It's in the pipeline. It's in the pipeline. And in the midst of that pipeline, procurement, corruption, and preferential procurement, looting and stealing is happening. How does a minister walks into a government with 50,000 shillings become a millionaire in 2 years with a salary that can't afford 3 pairs of shoes? Where does he get the money from?
When Maponga says Africa does not need democracy, he is not glorifying tyranny, he is exposing the scam. Democracy in Africa is nothing but a smokescreen, a theater stage where imperialism hides behind ballot boxes. Every 5 years, we vote, we dance, we sing. Then the same thieves return to parliament to loot under the cover of procedure. Look at Ibrahim Traore in Burkina Faso. He has become a model because he does not waste time with the bureaucracy of fake democracy. He dictates, but he dictates the right thing. Security, sovereignty, dignity. He is cutting the fat, not feeding on it. That is what Africa needs: leaders who are soldiers of purpose, not politicians of excuses. Democracy here has produced nothing but pipelines full of dust, budgets approved, hospitals never built, roads never finished. Ministers enter office with nothing and leave millionaires. Where does the money come from? From the pipeline of corruption, procurement cartels, and imperialist puppetry. Africa needs military men and women with conscience, dictators of order, of progress, of sovereignty. Not the ballot box charade, not the illusion of choice. Purposeful dictatorship is the antidote to Africa's paralysis.
Last time I saw you when we were in Kigali, you said you woke up that morning and there was a coup in Gabon. And when you look at the coups that are happening, what do you feel is driving? I know each one of these is different in its own way, but what do you think the primary drivers of this political instability are?
For me, it's very simple. And, well, it stems from the fact that the world doesn't learn lessons. As you see, people don't even learn lessons about what happened in our country. What is happening across the countries where coups have been taking place, people should be asking themselves, are these coups just happening, or they're happening for a reason? And that is something that maybe has been ignored in the past for many years and hasn't been addressed. And that is really, what do you do for the development of these societies in these countries? And people have come to take it for granted that Africa is poor and therefore it must remain as such, which is not true, because Africa is actually very rich, both in terms of natural resources, human capital, you can name it. I don't think there's any geographical space in this world that is so endowed with such things to build on as Africa. But in the end, it comes down to governance. How is Africa governed? How do countries govern themselves? And how, if they are doing that, are putting their people at the center of everything that is being done.
There's no Western leader that has been in office as long as you have.
Do I care about that?
Because
the Western leader is a Western leader.
Because electorates normally normally throw people out. The nature of elections and democracies is that people get tired of it and they move to another person.
That is if you are telling me, you know, that everyone has to conform to what the West tells us to do. I'm not one of those people. The Western world is a world on its own. It has many good things that they do. It has many bad things they do.
There's no democratically elected leader in a generally accepted democracy that has been in office as long as you.
Democracy is not defined by the West. No. If it does, then what happens of the contradictions that happen in the West? You don't start telling the others what to do, what they should not to do, or that what they are doing is not to your satisfaction. Who are you?
Well, I'm not sure if we're talking about me personally.
Well, you are the one actually raising these questions. So I think you better interpret it properly so that it is well understood. Okay. And you really need to stop this superiority complex nonsense about human rights. You think you are the only ones who respect human rights, or others it's about violating human rights. No, we've fought for human rights and freedoms of our people much better and more than anyone, including you people who keep talking about this nonsense. Where we have taken our country from and where it is now speaks for itself. The rest of the story just comes from this complex. You know, these two worlds where there are people who know everything about human rights and all kinds of things, and another world where people are just people who don't know. But these are our human rights. It's not, when we respect the things we respect in our countries, it's not for you, it's not for anybody else, it's for ourselves.
Is it not
so
a universal
you don't sit
right?
there. Yes, it is universal, but you don't sit there. If it is universal and you believe it, then you don't become the judge yourself. You don't start telling the others what to do, what they should not to do, or that what they are doing is not to your satisfaction. Who are you?
Well, I'm not sure if we're talking about me personally.
Well, you are the one actually raising these questions. So I think you better interpret it properly so that it is well understood.
Okay.
All right, people from Africa and across the world. Today, when you ask me something about African governance, automatically I'll tell you that it's better we have the coup, it's better we have the military governments, because these are the people who have tried to prove the people that this is how governance is. These are the people who are truly fighting for their people. These are the people who are truly sacrificing their life just for the people they represent, because these are the people who believes that power belongs to the people. But we've been having all these democratic leaders for so long. We have been having all these democratic leaders for so long. Every time, every year, a certain period of time, we go to vote. They come out to expose, to preach democracy. They come out to preach the best governance. They come out to promise best things. But immediately after they have been voted in, they forget everything. They forgot everything. They ditch their people. They change. They become something else. They become monsters. They don't want to associate with their people. They kill. They do anything just because they have got what they were fighting for. So today, many people have been asking why Paul Kagame has to say such, to address such statements. But today, when you take a look across Africa and how Africa is doing, you know, we've been living under dictatorship for so long. We've been living under the foreign influence, foreign policies, democracy for so long. But all in all, we've never got any solution to our problems, because at this time, in many African countries, we still have problems. We are still fighting, thriving on how to get out of this problem, out of these issues. Because at this time, many of African countries are still starving to death. Many of African countries are still dying due to hunger, due to drought. Today, many of African countries are still dying due to security issues. Today, like the entire continent of Africa is still fighting due to political crisis. So how can you come and convince Africans that we are living under democratic countries? How can you tell people that today Africa is free, is independent? Because when we could have been having this freedom, this independence, the sovereignty leaders, then today we would have not been speaking about the crisis in the country of Congo and Sudan. Today we could have not been coming out to speak about the refugees, because those people who created all these problems, the one who caused Africa to have refugees, the high number of refugees, are the people today, are the same people who came to introduce a democracy here, are the people who today are coming to say that we have to stand by democracy, we have to only support the democratic leaders. But if you want to know that today things are changing, just take a look at how the military leaders have their influence compared to the democratic leaders, the one that you voted, that you woke up in the morning to go and vote for, the one that promised you a lot, the one that promised you honey and the green pasture. Where are they today? Today, when you go in the country in Sahel, where they are having the military leaders, you will come to realize that automatically Africa needs dictators. And this is the statement that was made one day by Professor Maponga, because he was in an interview and he was being asked about Ibrahim Traore. Clearly he said that this time it is better we as Africans we have dictators, the people who will dictate and who wake up in the morning and say that I want 5 hospitals and it comes, I need some schools and it happens, I need several roads and it be constructed, but not the ones who are in office implementing all these projects and take like 5 years without being even starting one project, and they're calling themselves democratic leadership. This is the time that we as Africans, we've been speaking for so long without doing anything, without coming up with any solution or any issue to sort out our problems. We are speaking, we start a year and we end it when we are just speaking.
There's respect on the table. And for me, what would be most important take home is that if African leaders can reach that level where America does not call Putin into DC, but Putin can convene a meeting in Alaska, which they consider as a neutral ground, for both parties to move from their spaces and meet at a common ground where they agree, wherever it is to be. For me, that's number one. Where stop as African presidents always being called by Trump to fly with an entourage of 60 people who are going to go shopping while you are sleeping in the meeting. And you call that a bilateral mutual agreement. When will Trump come to Africa? He's the one who wants something from you. Why must you go to him and sell yourself on a plate exit? When look at Ramaphosa being humiliated in pictures of Congo and what and what. So take home for me, if he does not respect you, there's no reason why he should respect.
Just for the purpose of the record, we had the Great Zimbabwe before you had Great Britain. Just so that you know. We were there as early as the 5th, 6th century. The British kingdom can only be spoken about in the 17th century, which is yesterday.
It's the time of acting. It is the time of acting, because at this time, we have to know one thing, that all these perpetual leaders, all these democratic, who so-called democratic leaders, these are the people who are installed by some people. These are the people who just came because they're representing other people, a certain group of people, but not you as an African. Your president is not your president, but he's an agent to the colonizers, to the foreigners. Because when you take a look of the country that is today is having a lot of richness, a lot of minerals, these people are suffering. The country of Sudan, the country of Congo, the richest country with the minerals, with the richness, is one of the poorest countries in the world. So what's the meaning of having such kind of minerals in your soil, yet you are starving to death because of hunger? Yet you are dying because your government has failed to protect you. Your people has fled your country, and then you call yourself the richest country with the rich, with the affluent, with the enough or a lot of minerals. it's not the time of we sitting down and starting to discuss how rich we are in our soil, when this richness is not helping any of citizen or any country in Africa. Today, we've seen severally when Professor Pierre Lumumba coming out to address these issues. We have seen this when Maponga coming out to address these issues. These are the people who have already know the light. These are the people who really know what they're talking about. So whenever you see this kind of people are coming out to address some issues, then you have to take it seriously. You have to rethink about it. You have to do something that you feel like it's something that is going to help, but not the one that you've been doing for that long. We've been manipulated for so long that a change and revolution can only come through the ballot box. We've seen, if that's the solution, then what's happening in the country of Tanzania today? What's happening in the country of Cameroon? What's happening in the country of Uganda? What's happening in the country of Kenya? What is happening in the country of Nigeria? All these countries that I've mentioned, people are dying day and night. Security instabilities, political crisis, people, and they call themselves the democratic presidents. So how can we continue being deceived about this democracy every time, when we know clearly that this democracy is not helping? I came across a clip or a video of Jen Elliott, and he was in an interview, and he asked a question: who is a democratic president in the world? There is none of the presidents is a democratic, because first of all, this democracy is an illusion. This is a blueprint that was put there just to make sure that they control Africa, because the people who colonized Africa, they left Africa, but they were not fools, because they could have not just left Africa that easily when they know all that is in our soil, all that is in Africa, because all that we are having is what is making them to be who they are. All that we are having today is what is making them to be stronger. So they would have not just moved out of Africa without having a plan. So they had a plan before they leave. Before they left, they had a plan. That's why we are having democracy, the Western democracy. It was only to capture us, to put us in an intact, so that they can have the reason on how to control us. Today, when you wake up in the morning to go and practice your democratic way of electing your president, you are not the one who is choosing who to govern you, but the decision is being made in Europe, in Paris, in Washington DC, in Britain, UK. These are the people who are sitting down and elect the leaders that will represent us, that will govern our countries, because they have to do this. They have to make sure that they install their own puppets, so that they can have the chance to access to African resources. Because if they leave this to Africans that we can choose or elect the leaders of our choice, then it means that we are going to have our own leaders of our choice. And if we can do that, then automatically they will lose, because that leader will be working towards the people. He will be working and caring about his people, but not the foreigners. So this will make them to lose dominance, to lose power, and to lose all that they have been getting from Africa. So that's why each and every time African countries held an election, we have the people from West who come to supervise, who come to monitor, and make sure that their target must come true. So at this time, the African leaders themselves have tried to justify to the Africans that truly democracy never works, and it never worked. Because just today, an example of the country of Tanzania, we have experienced thousands of people who have been killed, some of them buried alive, some of them buried in massive graves. What was their offense? Their main offense was that they went on the street to demonstrate, asking their freedom, asking for their rights. That is what cost their life. And today, the president is still standing up and talking about democracy, talking about the rights, talking about the constitution. Then come on, This is the time that we have to make a decision as Africans. We are mature enough today to make sure that we make the right choice, the right decisions. Because as we always continue to mess up, we are not just messing up with the countries, but we are messing up with the entire future of the continent of Africa. So this is the only time that we can make the right choice. I started by telling you about, and today, if you ask me, I will automatically support the words that have been made by Paul Kagame, because today we are watching a lot of developments that has been done in the country of Rwanda. Today Rwanda is a very small city, small country, but it's doing great. It is doing great compared to the greatest country like Sudan, Congo, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania. So I don't think this is a time that we can continue speaking one thing without doing actions. This is the time we better have the undemocratic leaders, we better have the military leaders than having the who will care for their people, than having the so-called democratic leaders who are not bothering about their people, who are the one who are unliving their people, who are the one destroying their own countries because of the greediness of power. This is the time all this has to stop. So I thank you for your time. I will not take much of your time. I appreciate your support for you being here each and every time. Consider subscribing, sharing, comment, and just leave a like so that you can continue on the next episode, on the next at the next time. May you be blessed watching from. I love and appreciate your support. Continue streaming and supporting. I appreciate your support for you being here each and every day, and may you be blessed.